A 12-year-old girl was killed in a Russian strike on Ukraine's Dnipropetrovsk region, according to regional authorities.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney declares election victory after polls project his Liberal Party to have won the country's federal election.
A 12-year-old girl was killed and a 6-year-old girl was injured in a Russian strike on Ukraine's Dnipropetrovsk region early on Tuesday, according to regional authorities. Both children became trapped under the rubble of a house that was destroyed, rescuers said. Moscow is intensifying its attacks across Ukraine, even as it announced a 72-hour ceasefire next week to mark its Victory Day in World War II. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called the proposal a manipulation and urged for a longer one.
Зараз, от знов, чергова спроба маніпуляцій. Чомусь всі повинні чекати 8 травня. І тільки тоді припиняти вогонь. Щоб забезпечити Путіну тишу на час параду. Ми цінуємо життя людей, а не паради. І саме тому ми вважаємо, світ вважає, що немає причин чекати 8 травня. І вогонь має бути припинений не на кілька днів.
Until now, Russian President Vladimir Putin has refused to accept a complete unconditional ceasefire, linking it to a halt in Western arms supplies to Ukraine and Kyiv's mobilization effort.
The Prime Minister's Liberal Party has won Canada's federal elections, setting the stage for Mark Carney to form a government. Canadian public broadcaster CBC reports that Carney's Liberal Party is projected to secure 161 out of the 343 parliamentary seats. The vote marks a stunning defeat for Canada's Conservatives, who, under the leadership of Pierre Poilievre, were expected to be returned to power after nearly a decade. However, a diplomatic and trade crisis caused by the second U.S. presidency of Donald Trump undercut their appeal. Poilievre conceded defeat on Tuesday night, while Prime Minister Carney claimed victory and thanked party leaders. Carney told supporters Canada was now over the shock of American betrayal and vowed his government would work for all.
A blackout in the Iberian Peninsula brought much of Spain and Portugal to a standstill. Millions were affected across major cities like Madrid, Barcelona, Lisbon, and Porto. In Spain, many say the outage caught them by surprise.
Pues estábamos en el cambio de turno, yo ya me iba, ella entraba, se nos ha ido la luz, la nevera apagada, el robot apagado, no podemos dispensar medicamentos y algún producto de parafarmacia que estamos intentando venderlo, pero...
¿Y eso en qué coste? ¿Puede tener mucho coste para la farmacia?
Personal, productos, toda la nevera es de productos más caros y no tenemos ahora mismo movimiento, cero.
Train stations and telecommunications services experienced major disruptions. Bank cards were rendered useless, leaving many unable to purchase items like food and water. And products were quickly running out as consumers resorted to panic purchasing in preparation for a potentially lengthy blackout.
Hay poca agua, poco papel de baño, muy pocas cositas, la verdad. No hay pan y muy pocas cosas, la verdad. Si podéis pillar lo que puedan porque se está quedando todo vacío por ahora.
Pues ahora mismo en España lo que se vive es una gran incertidumbre ante este gran apagón. Se han fundido los plomos de forma sencilla, por así decirlo, por una circunstancia excepcional. Como se puede ver en la calle, suministros de gasolina paralizados, lavanderías también paralizadas, los semáforos no funcionan y la mayoría de personas se está intentando hacer acopio de comida y los supermercados se están viendo desabastecidos porque no se sabe qué es lo que va a ocurrir de aquí a unas horas. Juan Carlos de Santos, desde Madrid, para Euronews.
European Council President Antonio Costa is on a 3-day visit to Bulgaria, where he toured the Arsenal factory, a Bulgarian firearms and ammunition manufacturer. He said Bulgaria could have a key role in supplying European defense capabilities, adding that investment in defense would also drive competitiveness.
Arsenal factory is a very good example of the link between defense and competitiveness, and in particular how Bulgarian defense industry, with its unique historical and regional know-how, is contributing to Europe's support for Ukraine.
Koshta stressed that the security of Europe and Ukraine cannot be separated, calling for all European member states to increase their defense capacities. He also mentioned how his visit comes at a significant time for Bulgaria as it has joined the Schengen area and prepares to join the Eurozone.
Friedrich Merz is closer to becoming German Chancellor after a CDU party approved a coalition deal with the Social Democrats on Monday. The agreement now needs approval from the Social Democrat Party members, with results expected on Wednesday. Representing around 12% of its members, the SPD youth group has come out forcefully against the agreement, particularly objecting to its strict migration measures and social policy concerns. If the SPD agrees to join the coalition, Parliament will vote on electing Merz as Chancellor on May 6th. The planned coalition aims to boost the economy and defense, but holds a slim majority. If elected by Parliament, Merz will become the 10th post-war German Chancellor, and his party will get 7 out of 17 members of the cabinet. The SPD will also get 7 ministerial positions, and the remaining 3 will go to CSU.
This Tuesday marks exactly 6 months since the Dana floods occurred, impacting a number of villages in the outskirts of Valencia, like Aldaya, where I'm standing now. 227 people lost their lives during those floods, and thousands of businesses and homes were destroyed. Today here, the feeling is one of hope, as some businesses have managed to reopen, but also of emotional exhaustion and anxiety and fear that the Dana could one day occur again. We had the opportunity to speak to Eva Lexcano, an entrepreneur and young mother here in the town.
Ha sido duro, no te voy a engañar, han sido meses muy duros. Ahora es verdad que también se nos está acumulando el cansancio ya de estos 6 meses, porque nosotros, aparte de mi negocio, perdimos nuestra casa y la casa todavía estamos con las reformas y demás. Pero bueno, en cuanto al estudio, contentísima, la verdad, porque la respuesta de la gente de la vuelta de la Dana ha sido brutal. Todo el mundo ha venido con muchas ganas de normalidad, sobre todo, porque después de ver a un pueblo devastado, estas cosas al final es lo que te pide el cuerpo, ¿no? Volver a la normalidad, hacer las cosas que siempre hacemos, no pedimos más. A partir de la Dana y de la pandemia en general y de todo, ya nos hemos puesto un escudo, porque lo viví un poco desde la tranquilidad. Dije, bueno, ya qué más puede pasar después de todo esto. Y bueno, menos mal que finalmente fueron unas horas solo y no sé, yo ya pensaba que hoy podríamos seguir con el apagón y entonces ya mi cabeza, ¿qué hago con el negocio? Tal. Pero bueno, al final ha sido algo cortito, así que genial.
More than 100 billion euros a year. That's the cost of work-related depression in the European Union, according to a study published on Monday by the European Trade Union Institute. The think tank identifies 5 psychological risks at the root of this mental illness: stress at work, long working hours, job insecurity, imbalance between effort and reward, and moral harassment. These risks can have tragic consequences, according to available data dating back to 2015.
We estimated that the death toll, again in 2015 for the whole EU 28 countries, was approximately 6,000 of coronary heart diseases, which were attributable to psychosocial risks exposure, and over 5,000 deaths due to suicide caused by depression, attributable to 5 different factors, psychosocial risk factors.
In the same year, more than 400,000 lives were lost due to cardiovascular disease and depression caused by these work-related psychosocial risks, according to the report. Deaths that could be avoided, the study's authors say. France, Belgium, Finland, Ireland and the Netherlands are the 5 most affected countries in terms of cost per 100,000 workers, a cost passed on to society.
So for both diseases, we found that the highest burden was for employees, but also for employers. And in particular, with the costs of depression, we see that we can estimate that over 80% of the total cost of depression attributable to psychosocial risks at work in 2015 in Europe, it was paid by employers due to lack of productivity and decrease in productivity caused by sickness, absence, and presentism.
Sometimes employees are indeed present at work but ill or exhausted and therefore underperforming, which ultimately costs the company. The European Trade Union Institute therefore calls on the European Commission to present a text to prevent these psychosocial risks, a text which should also guide employers.
Russian firefighting air tankers dropped more than 100 tons of water at Iran's largest container port after a massive explosion last Saturday killed over 70 people. According to the Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations, 2 Russian air tankers dropped more than 130 tons of water. Earlier, Iranian officials announced that the fire had been extinguished. Some of those killed in the blast reportedly included truck drivers, port workers, and a newlywed couple. Around 1,000 others were left injured. Reports suggested the blast occurred as the port took in a chemical component needed for solid fuel for ballistic missiles, something that Iranian authorities have denied. Iran's Interior Ministry on Monday blamed non-compliance with safety precautions and negligence as having caused the explosion.